Hey, what if I told you that I applied to 3 different law enforcement agencies only to have them all tell me no? How did I recover? I want to share with you guys. Come on. What's up, you guys? Yes, you heard that correctly. I applied to 3 different agencies before I got hired for the amazing department that I work for now. And I want to share the story with you. If you're someone who is potentially struggling with trying to get hired with the police department, or you're just dealing with some rejection in life, period, maybe this will give you some insight and some encouragement, some motivation that, hey, rejection is not the end of your story. And that the dream that you want for yourself is actually attainable. It's just going to have to it's just going to require you go on a different path. And if you're new here, my name is Officer Jill. I am a active police officer in Los Angeles. And this is the human side with yours truly, Officer Jill. So let's just jump right into it, right? Let's not waste any time. Okay, it's going to be a quick video. Let's just jump right into it. So I wanted to be a cop ever since I was a kid. Okay, 3rd grade was when that first dream was ignited into me. The DARE program. Some of you, I may be dating myself here, but the DARE program came to my school, and that was it for me. I fell in love. So fast forward, I'm spending my entire life being a model citizen, and I go to college. I get my degree in administration of justice, which is just a fancy word of saying criminal justice, right? And I graduate, so now it's time to start the process of getting hired for an agency. And so I apply for the very first agency. I remember the day I was prepared, I was excited. I was like, yes, let's do this. I've been doing all the stuff right to do this. I'm perfect for the job. I'm honest. I'm physically fit, right? I have good morals. I don't have a criminal record. I can totally do this job. And so I go, and back then they had you fill out, it was like almost like a pre-questionnaire. Okay. And on this questionnaire, there were actually a bunch of questions, maybe about 10, 15 questions or so. And one of the questions was, have you or do you know someone who has consumed illegal drugs? Okay. So like I said, I had spent my entire life being a model citizen, right? And so I didn't smoke weed. I didn't even, very, very rarely did I drink. And so I had no problem telling the truth about me trying a mini bite. I mean, the size of a nickel, y'all. Size of a weed brownie in college. Some of you guys thinking, what? Why would you tell the cops that? Because listen, I wasn't a pothead. That wasn't who I was. So, and I was an honest person, right? I'm a model citizen. So I told them the truth. So I fill out the form and I turn it in, and they're reviewing it. And I remember the lady was looking through it, and she got to that question and she looked at me. She was like, what happened here? You put yes that you tried marijuana? And I was like, yes, it was during homecoming. I don't smoke weed. I don't even drink. But it was a small, tiny little piece that one of my friends had, and I just tried it. Yeah, it was dumb, but it's not something I do regularly. Definitely not. And she looked at it, she said, oh, okay. And she made like a little mark, and she kept going down. And then she said, all right, come back. And they, put us in the classrooms or whatever, and they did their little review. And if you passed that portion, you were scheduled to take the test. And so we're waiting, and then they call my name, and I come out of the classroom. I go to the table where you check in. And I was like, so based on the fact that you tried marijuana, unfortunately, you're gonna have to be disqualified, and we want you to come back in 2 years. 2 years, y'all. 2 years. What am I gonna do in 2 years? This is the plan, people. This was my plan. This was my career. Yes, I had a backup. I had a plan B, but I didn't want to do that because it was a teacher and they made no money. Sorry, no shade to the teachers. I love what you do. I have a desire to do it, but it just wasn't going to pay the bills. Okay. For me, at least. So I'm devastated, as you can imagine. I'm like, what? What do you mean 2 years, bro? Like, Come on. I'm like, oh, dude, this sucks. So obviously I leave. I'm disappointed. Take a little time to kind of process, what happened. I told, my family, I got disqualified. At the time, I didn't tell them why, though, because I didn't want them to know that I tried a wee brownie. So it's probably the first time they actually even heard this. But I told them that I didn't get in, and, I was going to keep trying. And so I'd say maybe a month later, I said, okay, I'm going to try this other agency. And so I put in my application and I go in and I go for the same thing, the same kind of questionnaire, and I get to that same question. And so I also know that telling the truth is a big deal in law enforcement. Integrity is huge. And so I couldn't lie. Once it's on paper, all the agencies talk to each other. And so I had to tell the truth again. So I tell them the truth, and they kind of get to that same question they asked me. I'm like, look, I already, I talked to, this other agency, the sheriffs. They said, come back in 2 years, but I'm telling you, I don't do drugs. Like, that was my first time ever trying it. Was it smart? No, but it was so small. Like, it was literally just to see if you can taste. I was trying to see if I can taste the weed in it. And I told them that. And the guy was understanding. He was actually kind of nice. But he was like, you know what? Based on the fact that they disqualified you, we're just going to have to go ahead and do the same thing. And just want to encourage you, come back in 2 years and I think you'd be a great candidate here. And I'm like, if you think I'm a great candidate, then just take me now, bro. Just take me now. So now I'm super bummed, right? This is the second time I'm like, oh my goodness. Are you kidding me right now? And I'm like, what am I going to do? What the heck am I going to do? So fast forward, I get a job because I got to have some money, right? And so I get a job. I'm working at the DMV, and I'm just like, what am I going to do? What's my next process? I don't want to wait 2 years. I don't. This sucks, right? And so a friend of the family knows what I want to do. And I spoke to him about, my career goals, whatnot. And thankfully, let's rewind. This is actually when I got hired. Let's go back. So I let some more time pass, a few more months, maybe about 4 or 5 months. I'm like, okay, I got to take another shot at this, man. Like, this is not working at the DMV is not what I went to college for. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try this other agency that's in a whole nother county, and hopefully it won't be an issue. Okay, hopefully they're not as strict. So I apply for another agency. I go through the same process, and guess what? Look, I made it past the first questionnaire, and I told the truth. I told the truth about trying the weed brownie because I didn't want them to think that I was going to lie, and I was excited, right? I made it through that process. I was like, yeah, this is it. That was the one thing that was holding me up. I got it now, right? I'm in. I'm good. So I do the physical test. I passed it. I pass it. I do the run. I pass it. Everything's going great, y'all. I do the oral interview. I pass that. Everything's great. And at this point, I am just waiting. I'm just waiting for my criminal background and my background check, which is an ongoing process. I'm waiting for that to just complete. And then they're going to call me and say, hey, we want you to join our police department. You guys, about 6 months into this process, I get a call from the background investigator telling me that we are going to have to cancel the application, not because I wasn't qualified, but because their city was going on a hiring freeze and they could not hire any more officers at the moment. And guess how many years they told me to come back? 2 more years. 2 more years, y'all. So that's 3 different agencies within like a year and a half, maybe year and some change time frame that told me to come back in 2 years. And I was devastated. But I didn't give up because obviously I'm a police officer now. But I want to tell you guys, I want to give you guys 3 things that I learned through that rejection. All right. So the first one is, okay, rejection builds resilience. Listen, you guys, that first no hit hard. I'm not even going to lie. It hurt like a son of a gun. It hurt, right? But I look back at that, and the fact that I was able to go and apply for another agency showed me that I had a level of toughness. I had learned and applied the power of getting back up after getting knocked down. And listen, in this job, in this profession, you are going to get knocked down, kicked, slapped, sometimes physically when there's protests and riots. But no, seriously, in this job, you're going to get knocked down. You're going to apply for positions. You're not going to get them. There's going to be all type of reasons. There's politics. You guys already know what I'm talking about. You're not going to get, everything is not going to turn out the way that you may envision it. And you have to have thick skin. You have to have resilience to keep on going. And in that first no, that first gut punch to me, that was one of many steps that was building my own resilience. And so remember, rejection builds resilience. Okay. Number 2, rejection protects you from the wrong fit. You know, I look back at those other agencies, and they're good agencies, I guess, in their own way, but I look back at them and kind of knowing their culture and compare it to the culture of the agency that I'm with now. And let me tell you, where I am now is exactly where I am supposed to be. I don't believe I would have fit in the culture of those agencies as I look at them and I look at me and from what I know about me and what I know about them. So keep in mind that no, although it may feel like rejection, it can actually be a protection from something that you did not need or want, or that would have fit you best. So I told you it's going to be a short video. So let's wrap it up with number 3. Okay. Rejection teaches you patience and trust. Listen, the fact is, I actually didn't get hired. They told me to come back in 2 years. I ended up working at the DMV for 2 years, right? Thankfully, I had a job lined up where I can actually make some money and take care of myself during that time. But in that 2-year process that I was working towards getting to the agency that I am with now, I could have given up on my dream, but because of my faith, because of my desire, because of the goals that I had set for myself, that process made me develop a stronger love for the job, a stronger love for that career, and more patience. That time that I was waiting, those 2 years, I didn't know it at the time, but I was building patience and trust. 2 things that you need in this job. You know, things aren't always going to happen as fast as you want them to. We're going to need more resources. You're going to need the community on board. You're going to need this. You're going to need that. And sometimes it's going to take some time. And you got to have that patience. And you have to trust the process of it all. And going through that 2-year time period of preparing myself mentally, physically, and emotionally for what God had for me with the agency that I am with now came from that rejection. And you know what, just for the heck of it, let's do number 4. Okay. Let's give you a bonus one, because I think this one was big too. Okay. So that rejection refines your focus. I had to stop and really ask myself, is this something I want to do? Is this something that I really want? And if it's something that I really want, how bad do I want it? And during that 2-year period, I had to ask myself, do I still want this? Or am I going to give up on it? Am I still going to follow through? And obviously the answer was yes. And because the answer was yes, I work even harder every day. Right now, today, I work hard to make sure I utilize this opportunity and this responsibility that God has given me, that He has allowed me to have, to serve people, both the people I work with and the communities that I serve in the area of policing. Let's do a quick recap, okay? Rejection builds resilience. Rejection protects you. It teaches you patience, and it sharpens your why in the form of refining your focus. All right, y'all. So I told you this is going to be a quick video. If you ever want to have a conversation with me here on the human side, just shoot me an email. My contact information is below. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. But most importantly, remember, if you show me your human side, I'll show you mine. All right, y'all. Peace.